you have to be. Oh, that's what I told the star.
Welcome back to another All Things Marriage. We are your hosts. I'm Derek.
And I'm Crystal, and we're the Robinsons.
Yep. So again, we want to thank you guys for everyone who supports us. You know, every so often we got to say, you know, big ups.
Yes.
Thank you, all that, because, you know.
We love you, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. Again, as far as announcements go, nothing major, nothing new. Just be on the lookout for March of Prayers. Again, if you were following us last year during this time of year, you're familiar with what March of Prayers is. It is during the month of March, once a week, we bring on a guest and they do a little teaching segment. They do a little discussion, if you will, and then they pray over a certain aspect of family, relationship, you know, things of the like. And so we're doing that again this year, starting the first Sunday in March, likely airing in the late afternoon, so be on the lookout for that.
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yes.
And
we'll be live.
We'll be live?
Yes.
Cool.
My husband acts like he doesn't know certain things.
It's not that I don't know, but like my brain be letting things in and out as it sees fit. So, but that's it for announcements. So we're going to jump right into this week's topic, which is
we're talking about punishing our spouses.
No.
Yeah. So that's the end of the video today.
No. That's an interesting one. Punishing your spouse.
So like you did something to me, or you did something I didn't like, and I'm punishing you. The famous, you sleeping on the couch tonight.
Yeah, which I don't believe in sleeping on the couch. The only sleeping on the couch that happens is if I have an episode of acid reflux or something like that,
and you
and
choose
I need to sit up
to go.
Yeah. Then maybe there's a couch sleep.
Yeah.
Right? But what you're not going to do is kick me out of my grown bed.
Right.
At my big age.
Right. And that's male and female.
Right.
Because
right.
What? Are we in our father's house? Are we in our mother's house?
Right. So let's get into it. Punishments. What are we classifying first and foremost as a punishment?
Well, you have the infamous sleeping on the couch. You have that silence treatment, which is very interesting to me. Right. Because I got to say something to you. I don't know how y'all do it.
Right.
I got to say something. You know that whole, what's the saying? I just feel, or it's just funny how.
It's funny how, yeah.
I got to tell you how I feel.
Right.
But yeah, those types of punishments, or one of like the major ones, we share a bank account, and I cut your credit cards off, or I cut your bank card off. You know, these things they just don't set right with me.
Yeah. So. Okay, so I guess a clean and cut definition is any form of.
I'm sorry, he likes definitions.
No, I do like definitions mainly because I like for people to understand when we're having a discussion.
Right.
I like for people to understand where it is we're coming from and through what lens are we looking. Like even not just for like channel purposes, but like in just daily encounters. I like to make it clear and understandable when I'm talking about a thing, what is the lens that I'm speaking from?
Right.
And what is my baseline understanding, because that is what will govern the things that I say moving forward.
Right.
And then if we disagree, we disagree.
Right.
But if the issue is that we are not thinking or understanding from the same point, then that's a different conversation than we not agreeing on the stance, right? That's that's the long and short of why I always want to have some type of definition hanging out there, right?
Right.
So that being said, definition being any type of intentional negative reinforcement of an act or an action that the other person has done. In other words, you said something or you did something that I don't like, and now I'm going to make things hard for you in this aspect.
Right.
Until I feel like you've learned your lesson,
right,
or I've gained sufficient satisfaction out of it.
Right.
So that's the definition.
Okay.
So,
I can agree with that.
Sure. Cool beans. Now that we're on the same page, let's talk about it.
Right.
I'll go first. I absolutely loathe the idea of punishment, even as it pertains to children.
Okay.
And pardon my naivety, because I don't have kids currently, right? So maybe this is the inexperience talking.
Okay.
However, and also, I feel as though when you begin to punish people, man, woman, boy, or girl, you begin to introduce a mentality and an element of shame and condemnation surrounding a certain thing. And the last thing that you want to do, even to a child, is to make a child shameful of themselves.
Right.
Because what happens when people become shameful, they find themselves they find themselves creating walls and barriers to guard themselves or to protect themselves from the shame. Right? And so when you shame a person or you make a person feel shameful, they will not trust you with themselves concerning that thing in the future.
Right.
Or they will not trust others with themselves concerning that thing in the future. Here's what I mean. If a child, I don't know, gets into a fight at school, gets in trouble at school, they don't do their homework, something really minuscule like that. We know you're supposed to do your homework. You know you're supposed to do your homework. You didn't do your homework because you forgot, you retired, whatever the case may be, and then you go to school, you get a bad grade. Parent finds out that the child didn't do their homework, and then they immediately go to, why you didn't do your homework? I'm going to take away to this, I'm going to take away to that. You don't get to, because nowadays it's not go outside with your friends. You don't get to get online and play the game with your friends or whatever the case may be. Well, what that will groom the child to do is, rather than be honest with the parent, rather than be honest about, I didn't do my homework this time, now they're going to go to, let me find somebody else's homework to copy because I don't want to take the punishment. I don't want to deal with the stressor of not having done the homework and then getting in trouble.
Right. We have Piaget's stages of development.
Right.
And I can't remember it's like trust versus mistrust, which is what you were just hitting on. But it's another one that's shame versus something else, and it's earlier on, and I cannot remember it. I'm so sorry to my professors. But it is the stages of development, like it says, that, it tells you during different ages we are in developing in certain areas. And it goes from birth to adulthood, where we're developing relationships and we're developing within ourselves based on those relationships. And like you said, the trust versus mistrust. Right. When you make me feel shameful, and it affects how I develop in other areas. So
and how I handle you concerning this area and the other areas. Right. You said, well, why are you talking about children? And I thought we was talking about marriage and relationship and all these other things. Well, I lean there because one, like I said, I don't think punishment is the proper course for much of anything. Mm. Even at the level of raising kids, but at the same time in your partnership, just like you have to train a child to be the person that you expect them to be, you have to train your partner to be the person that you expect them to be.
Right, in this relationship.
Right.
But even with why you're talking about children, you have to understand that when we go through things in our childhood, like I said, it affects later on in life. So if we're married, which we are, in our age, if I experience something that made me mistrust individuals at whatever age that mistrust is, again, I don't know that. I should have been better prepared for this conversation, guys. However, if I learn mistrust and not trust,
right.
Well, then if we're now in an argument and you, as a way of punishing me, you don't come home at night.
Right.
You don't come home one night. Well, do you think that helped me in trusting?
Right. Yeah. And
no, it didn't.
And vice versa. If we're in the midst of an argument, we're in the midst of a dispute, disagreement, however you want to title it, and you yelling, fussing, whatever, and I, because of childhood traumas, whatever, don't respond well to the right. Then that may make me want to not come home at night. And so now my because you're punishing me by fussing me out and telling me you ain't done this and you need to, and now I feel punished.
Right.
And so now I need to get away from this punishment arena.
And I hear the people, because I've said it and I stand by it still. Heal, because nobody else is responsible for your healing.
Yes.
However, and also, we are in a covenant relationship now.
Right.
And we are to be susceptible and to be more gracious to our partners and understanding their needs and their desires and their wants and what it is that I need to do in order to yield myself to your wants and your desires, so that I don't make you feel a certain type of way.
Right.
Now, it is on you, it is on me to heal from those situations that made us not trust, individuals. 100%. However, if I've entrusted you with telling you, look, back in the day, my dad did some stuff, my mom did some stuff, or my siblings or these individuals did some things that make it very hard for me to trust when X, Y, and Z is at play. Right. And you say, now we're in an argument, let me go ahead and hit those buttons.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You're just as wrong, if not more so.
More so, yep.
Because of the intention behind it.
And I will say this, as an adult male, in Western civilization, we don't do well with punishment and embarrassment.
Yeah, that's that whole respect factor.
Yeah,
because y'all want y'all desire respect.
Because what you not finna do, at my big age of 33, is tell me, oh, because I didn't like what you said. Right. Because I didn't like what you did or the way you did something, now you're not allowed to do this. Let's not.
I can show you about that.
Right. Because again, at my big age of 33,
because that's
I have full faculty of my own.
That's a challenge.
It is you are challenging me as an adult and as a man. And what I can show you is what I can do. Like I can't show you what I can't do, but I sure can show you what I can do. And similarly, I would assume the same thing with women. Now, it's the nature of the challenge is different. You know what I'm saying? Because for men, I will say there's an element of embarrassment, and we don't do well with embarrassment. If you make me feel if a situation, we're not even talking about the punishment at this point. Right. If a situation, by and large, makes me feel like I am less than a man. It challenges my manhood, makes me feel as if I am a child.
Right.
Then my natural recourse and response to that thing is to assert myself as a man in this situation.
Right.
Okay, you have now made me feel as though I am a kid. I need to show you just how much of a man I am.
Right.
And I will then do so in the area in which I am challenged.
Right.
You made me feel like a child by saying you can't go out with your friends. So I'm not going to flex my manhood by saying, you know what, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to earn some money. No, I'm going to go and I'm going to stay out all day and all night and all day and all night and all day and all night again until you understand. Then here comes the reverse. Here comes the reverse punishment. Until you understand who you are talking to.
Right.
Right. Until you understand that I am the man and I am the one who makes the decisions. That's how we function.
And I hear the people again. I hear the people. That's so childish.
And
that's
so
childish. However, when you start, and this is literally the whole point of this conversation.
Right.
When you start saying, I'm going to punish my partner.
You're treating them like a child.
You are being childish.
Yeah.
Not even you're treating them like a child.
No, you're treating them like you are a child.
You are a child. You're being childish.
Yeah.
And you're treating your partner like they are a child. And it's a no-no.
Yeah.
It's a no-no. Because we are adults.
Mm-hmm.
We got bills.
Right.
We have other things to be worried about. And
I have free will.
We apparently have things that we need to discuss and work on, because there is no way that me getting upset with you equates to I ain't cooking you dinner. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna cook myself something to eat, and I ain't cooking you nothing. And I'm gonna come here and sitting off. No. And I ain't gonna cook you nothing until you figure it out.
That's hilarious, because let me tell you how many meals I'm finna eat and you ain't gonna have nothing. like
right.
Because and I say these things jokingly, but also that's how we respond.
That's yeah.
When we feel as though, think about when you were a child, and mom and daddy, teacher, aunt, uncle, whoever said they gonna take your toy. You ain't do this, I'm taking this toy. I'm taking that. You can't go outside with your friends. You go in, they gonna tell you go in your room, you want punishment, you grind it. You gonna throw the pillows, you gonna now you ain't gonna do nothing for them to come in there and come after you for real.
Right.
Cause
you know they gonna come after you for real.
Then we talking about a different type of punishment. but you're going to you start behaving and you start, as they say, acting out in such a way that I'm a child and I can't do but so much, but I need you to understand that I do not find this acceptable.
Right.
I do not like this. I do not approve of this, and I'm going to make this difficult on you as it is for me.
Right.
That's how children respond. And what's crazy is we don't think about it this way, and this is why I say I don't even like punishing children, because honestly, that same mentality is what the parent is doing to the child. You have done something that I don't approve of, and you have made a difficult situation for me. You have embarrassed me, and so now I'm going to make this as difficult for you, the child, as it is for me, the adult. And that, if as the adult, that is childish. And that is immature. Parents, fuss at me out there all you want to. That is childish, and that is immature. And I would say, and I'm going to pivot a little bit here, what I would say, what is more effective and a more effective tool for the child is you establish rules, you establish boundaries, and you establish consequences.
Yeah. And
you're like, well, what's the difference? The difference is a punishment is reactionary. A consequence is pre-established. Right. And so
it's a part of being proactive versus reactive.
Right. And so for example, here's an example. I need you to wash the dishes. We're talking about an older child, right? I need you to wash the dishes. If you do not wash the dishes, you will not be able to go to the movies with your friends. And so then when I come home and the dishes are not washed, and it's time for you to go out with your friends and you done got dressed and I'm heading out. No, you're not. Back in the kitchen, wash the dishes. Now the staying home is no longer a punishment. Now the grounding is no longer a punishment because the child had the understanding that if I do this, then there is X consequence. If I don't, then there is Y consequence, and I can choose the consequence. That I can choose the type of outcome that I want. Whereas a punishment is, I need you to wash the dishes. And then I come home and I know you've been planning to go out. And you know you've been planning to go out. And then I get home and the dishes ain't washed. Well, since you didn't wash the dishes, you're not going to this movie with your friend. You're not going to your friend's birthday party. Now I'm angry with you. Now I want to, now as a child, I want to retaliate. And I want to yell and scream and fuss and do and all of these things because I feel like you are doing this to spite me.
On this specific one, because we're talking about children, and again, I hear the people. I don't care. I hear people. Derek, you don't have children yet, so you don't know.
Bite me.
No, because we don't have children yet, and I really hate that understanding.
Let me interrupt
we
you
were
for 2
children.
seconds. Let me interrupt you for 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
Because we don't have children yet, we can look at this through an objective lens. That's all. You can go ahead.
Right. I was going to say we were children at one point, and we saw how we were parented, or our cousins and siblings were parented, and be subjective or objective of what things worked and what things didn't work, what should have been altered and what could have been different. Yeah. So, but I definitely agree with you, 100%. And no, we don't agree with everything all the time. Okay.
We ain't calling no names on that one, but you know who you are.
And I don't agree with him all the time. I just go ahead and be. I'm gonna be personal.
But I say all of that to say. Sorry to interrupt you. I say all of that to say. I say all of that to say that I believe that as adults, and more specifically as parents, we can sometimes be very reactionary with our children, and it teaches them to be emotional creatures. It teaches them to be very emotional in their adulthood, and that is an acceptable way to behave and an acceptable way to make decisions out of emotions, and we should never be making decisions out of emotion. And then when those children then become adults and find themselves in relationship with other adults, then when things don't happen the way that they like, or when they do happen the way that they like, either way, they find themselves reacting emotionally, and the only recourse that they have to get someone to understand how they feel or to do what they want them to do is to punish them until they change the behavior, and that is not an effective tool of communication.
Right. So how should we express ourselves when our partner has done something that we do not like?
Well, first and foremost, it goes back to, again, a couple weeks back, the discussion of boundaries, right? If you establish the boundary early and you establish what is acceptable behavior and then model what the acceptable behavior looks like to you early, then, and again, setting up consequences as opposed to punishments, then when the unacceptable behavior happens and the response can be predetermined, right? And so, and the response is communication. I did not like you coming in late. And I'm going to use this because this was a thing with us, right? Mm-hmm. Earlier in our marriage, we lived close to my buddies from college, and we used to have game night once a week. Guys get together, and we play tabletop games, board games, whatever. And sometimes we'd be playing till 2 o'clock in the morning, right? Now, mind you, I still got to get up and go to work in the morning. Crystal still has to get up and go to work in the morning. Everybody that was playing had to get up and go to work in the morning, right? And we wouldn't even do it at our place, and I was only about 5 or 10 minutes up the road, right? However, as a married man, that behavior was not conducive to our relationship. Namely because in part Crystal didn't understand that necessity for me at that time, and I didn't understand the need and the importance for me to be at home for her at that stage, right? Because my mindset was, you know where I'm at, right? You know who I'm with, right? You know what I'm doing, right? I got my phone. You can call me at any time. What's the big deal? Right. And so punishment would be fine. You act like you can't come in the house. Well, I'm gonna just lock the doors and sucks to be you. Right. You know, and I'm grown. You can't lock me out of my own place.
I didn't lock him out, guys. Just for y'all.
Just so y'all understand.
Because I'm telling you, I hear the people.
But consequence would then be, or punishment would be, if you're gonna be with me, you ain't gonna be out here and It's gonna be me or them. Right. Punishment. Right. Consequence.
And honestly, this is a petty consequence, and sometimes my brain goes there, and I have to retract it and cast it down. But just for the sake of conversation, a petty punishment would have been not locking the doors or changing the locks on the doors or whatever, but putting something behind the door so you have to bang at 2 o'clock in the morning to try to get in, which then leads to the embarrassment factor.
Right.
But go ahead.
Right. What would be a better way to handle that situation, even before you get to the consequences, would be having the conversation, darling, why is it important for you to have the game night and be out that late? Right. Is there another way that you can, see what the reasoning is? Is there another way that you can achieve that without being out so late? Right. Are they able to do it over here? Propose some alternatives, and even before the alternatives, then explain, here's why it is a problem for me. This is why I have an issue with this thing, and try to come to some level of understanding. Maybe not agreement, but a level of understanding where I can understand you and you can understand me. Right. And sometimes that doesn't work. But here's where the consequences come into play. Right? So we did that, and so I was just like, okay, I'm gonna try to get in the house earlier. And for a while I tried to get in the house earlier. But because it wasn't in my mind the priority, because it's just like, again, I checked off all the boxes, so it should be fine. Right. I would try to get there early, but if I didn't, it's just like, well, I tried, so whatever. And then one night, this is what happens. One night, because of the way our transportation and everything was set up, I didn't have keys to the apartment. Because you were driving, you had the keys. Right.
I think I dropped you off, or one of your boys picked you up.
And one, from work, Jamar or Thomas, and one of them came and picked me up. So I didn't have my keys to the apartment. And it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I get home, and naturally the door's locked. Because why wouldn't you lock the door? And so I do have to knock on the door and call and this and that and the third. And I'm outside and I am getting livid because it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I am calling, knocking on the door, knocking on the window, all of these things and nothing, because Crystal had basically decided not out of a punishment type of thing, but okay, well, he said he's gonna try. I'm just gonna try not to stress about it, whatever, and I'm not gonna stay up. All of those things. She had went to sleep. I didn't have keys, so now I'm stuck outside. And this is the consequence for the behavior.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily that something you implemented intentionally to punish me. This is just what happens.
Right. And I don't set my phone up at all.
Right. And so I don't know if knowing you, it may have been dead. I don't know. But
yeah. But if you ever try to call us, I think at one point in time, I had a phone. This is definitely pivoting. But you just brought something back in my memory. At one point in time, I had a phone that if you called, like, it was a setting rather. Mm-hmm. If you called more than like 3 times, like the phone would then ring out loud because it's like, oh, it's an emergency.
Right.
But sorry, that was a pivot.
Right. And so literally, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I am at the door for like 30 minutes, and I'm outside like, how dare she lock me out the house? Oh, I'm finna go ham when I get up in here. Like I'm up here with the anger, and then finally, like, she hears the door, whatever, comes unlock the door. I didn't know you was, I didn't know you was at the door, whatever. The phone was off, blah 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 blah, and it's obvious that she was asleep. And where I was angry, it was just like, I can't be up. Like it had you been awake, oh, it would have.
That would have been so trifling. That would have been so trifling.
Yeah, but then you were asleep and genuinely asleep, and your phone was off, all of this other stuff, and I'm just like, and I had to like stop and reflect, and it was like, nope, this is what happens because she asked you to be at home by a certain time, not because you got to be here, whatever, but just the respect for the relationship and all of this other stuff. And if you had come home at a decent hour when you said you were going to come home, then she would have been awake, and this wouldn't have been a problem. This is only an issue because you said you were going to be home at like 11 or 12, and it's 2. So this one on you. And it was just like, and like at that point I was just like, okay, yeah, gotta do something different, because not only do I not like not being able to get in the house, but I also didn't like how angry I was getting,
right,
and wanted to be upset with you, because then it was just like, okay, well, what happens if she was awake? Now but she was in the bathroom. Now I'm all mad and yada, yada, yada. And then we're arguing, whatever. And I was like, none of that's necessary when realistically I don't have to be out at 2 o'clock in the morning. And also, it won't, like, I ain't in college no more. Ain't anybody got time for that. Like, because I'd still be for sure tired the next day.
Right. But, and at that time when you were working at Virginia State, clearly we had to be up at like 6.
Yeah.
If not 5. I had to be at work at 7. I would have to drop you off at Virginia State, then drive to Chesterfield and be at work at 7.
Right. But anywho, that's story time for the day.
Yes.
And we're gonna close out here, but the point being, and I think you guys get it, not to try to punish your partner for things that they do that you don't like, right?
Right. Yeah. That's a big no-no. But until next time, we hope that you guys have enjoyed today's session. Leave a comment in the section if this is a replay.
Right.
Like and share our video. Share. Copy the link. Share it on your social medias.
Right.
And yeah, until next time, we love you guys. Bye.